Chiedete e vi sarà dato. Cercate
Ask,
e troverete.
and it will be given to you.
Bussate
Seek,
e vi
and you will
sarà
find.
aperto.
Knock, and the door will be
Gesù con
opened for
queste
you.
parole ci invita a rivolgerci
With these words,
fiduciosamente
Jesus
al
invites us to
Padre
turn with
in
trust to
tutte
the
le
Father
nostre
for all
necessità.
our needs.
Noi le ascoltiamo mentre celebriamo
These are
il
also the words
Giubileo
we
della
listen to
vita
you. We
consacrata.
listen to as you gather from all over the world to celebrate the Jubilee of consecrated life.
Religiose e religiosi,
As men and women
monaci e
religious,
contemplative,
monks,
membri
nuns,
degli
and
istituti
contemplatives,
secolari,
members of secular
appartenenti
institutes
all'Ordo Virginum,
and of the Ordo Virginum,
eremiti e membri dei
hermits,
nuovi istituti,
and those belonging to the new
venuti a
institutes.
Roma per vivere
You have come to
insieme
Rome
il
to undertake
pellegrinaggio
the
giubilare,
Jubilee pilgrimage
per
together.
affidare la vostra vita a
You have
quella
come to entrust your
misericordia
lives to the
di cui,
same mercy to
attraverso
which,
la professione
through your religious
religiosa,
profession,
vi siete
you once
impegnati ad
committed
essere
yourself to bear
segno
witness,
profetico,
because living out your
perché
vows
vivere i voti
means abandoning
è
yourselves
abbandonarsi
like children
come bambini tra le braccia
into
del Padre.
the arms of the Father.
Chiedere, cercare, bussare.
To ask,
I verbi
to seek,
della
and to
preghiera
knock.
usati dall'Evangelista
These
Luca
expressions of prayer
sono atteggiamenti
mentioned by the
familiari per
evangelist
voi,
Luke are
abituati
attitudes that
dalla
are
pratica
familiar
dei
to you.
consigli evangelici a
Through living out
domandare
the evangelical
senza
counsels,
pretendere,
you are
docili
accustomed to
all'azione di
asking
Dio.
without demanding,
Non a
always
caso,
docile to
il
God's
Concilio
action.
Vaticano
It is
parla-
no coincidence
Vaticano
that the
II
Second
parla
Vatican
dei
Council
voti come
speaks
di
of
un
vows
mezzo
as a
utile
useful
per
means
poter
of,
raccogliere il
quote,
più
deriving
grande
more abundant
abbondanza
fruit from
i
baptismal
frutti
grace,
della grazia battesimale.
end quote.
Chiedere, infatti, è
To ask, in
riconoscere nella
fact,
povertà
is to recognize
che tutto è dono
through
del
poverty
Signore
that
e di
everything
tutto
is a
rendere
gift
grazie.
from the Lord,
Cercare
and to give
e
thanks for it.
aprirsi nell'obbedienza
To
a
seek
scoprire
is to open
ogni
oneself
giorno
through
la via da
obedience
seguire nel cammino
to
della
discovering
santità,
each day
secondo i
the path
disegni
we
di
must
Dio.
take on the journey toward
Bussare
holiness,
e
following God's
domandare e
plans.
offrire ai fratelli i doni
To knock
ricevuti
is to
con
ask
cuore
for
casto,
and to offer the
sforzandosi
gifts we
di
have
amare
received to our
tutti
brothers and
con
sisters
rispetto
with a
e
chaste heart,
gratuità.
striving to love everyone with
Potremmo
respect
leggere
and
in
generosity.
questo senso le parole che Dio rivolge al profeta Malachia nella prima lettura.
We could read the words that God addresses to the prophet Malachi in the first reading in the same light. He refers to the inhabitants of Jerusalem as my special possession and tells the prophet, I will spare them as parents spare their children. These expressions remind us of the love with which the Lord has first loved us in calling us. It is an opportunity, especially for you, to reflect on the free gift of your vocation, from the origins of your congregation to the present day, and from the first steps of your personal journey to this moment. First and foremost, we are all here because God has willed it and has chosen us from the very beginning.
Allora vuol dire anche guardare a ritroso alla propria esistenza.
To ask, to seek, and to knock also means reflecting on our own lives, bringing to mind and heart what the Lord has achieved over the years by multiplying talents, strengthening and purifying faith, and fostering generosity and freedom in charity. Sometimes this has been achieved in joyful circumstances, and at other times in ways that are more difficult to understand, perhaps even through the mysterious crucible of suffering. At all times, however, we find ourselves in the embrace of that paternal goodness that characterizes what He does in us and through us for the good of the Church. This brings us to a second recollection. to a second reflection. God as the fullness and meaning of our lives. For you, for us, the Lord is everything. He is everything in different ways, as creator and the source of existence, as love that calls and challenges, as the strength that impels and inspires us to give.
È il vostro chiedere, cercare e bussare, nella preghiera come nella vita. Riguarda pure.
Without Him, nothing exists, nothing makes sense, nothing is worthwhile. Your asking, seeking, and knocking, both in prayer and in life, has much to do with this truth. In this regard, St. Augustine describes God's presence in his own life using beautiful imagery. He speaks of a light not bound by space, a voice that never fades, food that is not lessened by eating, and a hunger which is never satisfied. And he concludes, "This is what I love when I love my God." These are the words of a mystic. Yet they resonate with our own experience. They reveal the longing for infinity that dwells in the hearts of all men and women. For this reason, the Church entrusts you with the task of being living witnesses to God's primacy in your lives. By stripping yourselves of everything, you help the brothers and sisters which you meet to cultivate this friendship themselves. After all, history teaches us that an authentic experience of God always gives rise to generous outpourings of charity. This was the case in the lives of your founders and foundresses, men and women who were in love with the Lord and therefore ready to become all things to all people, without distinction, in the most varied ways and situations. It is true that today, as in the time of Malachi, some say it is vain to serve God. This way of thinking leads to a genuine paralysis of the soul. We end up settling for a life made up of fleeting moments, superficial and intermittent relationships, and passing fads, things that leave a void in our hearts. This is not what we need truly in order to be happy. Instead, we need consistent, lasting and healthy experiences of love. Through the example of your consecrated life, you can be likened to the flourishing trees we sang about in the responsorial psalm, spreading the fresh air of authentic love throughout the world. I would like to consider one final aspect of your mission. We heard the Lord say to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, "The Sun of Righteousness shall rise with healing in its wings," inviting them, that is, to hope for a fulfillment of their destiny beyond the present moment. This is a reference to the eschatological dimension of the Christian life, which calls us to be engaged in the world while at the same time constantly striving toward eternity. It is an invitation for you to prolong the asking, seeking and knocking of your lives through prayer to the eternal horizon that transcends the realities of this world, to orient them toward that Sunday without sunset when all humanity will enter into God's rest. In this regard, the Second Vatican Council entrusts you with a specific task when it says that consecrated persons are called to be, in a special way, witnesses to future goods. My dear brothers and sisters, the Lord, to whom you have given everything, has rewarded you with such beauty and richness, and I would like to urge you to treasure and cultivate what you have received. Finally, let us recall the words of St. Paul VI. Keep, he wrote to religious, the simplicity of the least among us, of the gospel. May you succeed in discovering this anew in an interior and closer relationship with Christ and in your direct contact with your brethren. You will then experience, through the action of the Holy Spirit, the joyful exaltation of those who are introduced into the secrets of the kingdom. Do not seek to be numbered among the learned and clever. Such secrets are hidden from these. Be truly poor, meek, eager for holiness, merciful, and pure of heart. Be among those who will bring to the world the peace of God.